The 14th ranked BYU Cougars have come down from the mountains to play the upset-hungry Wolverines of Utah Valley. BYU is 12-0 all-time versus UVU. Will that trend continue, or will the Wolverines send the Cougars into conference play with the loss? We'll find out next on UVU TV.
Well, hey, you got one of those insurance apps too? You know how this thing works?
No, sorry. Not an app, it's my agent.
In this moment,
No, I'm fine, thanks.
it's good to know you have a trusted, independent auto owner's insurance agent who's there when you need them.
Great.
Man, I gotta get one of those.
Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people.
Neil Dastrup Insurance, your local independent auto owners insurance agency, supports UVU athletics.
Inside the newly renovated Lockhart Arena in Orem, Utah, the 14th ranked BYU Cougars will play the Wolverines in the Crosstown Clash presented by UCCU. I'm Matthew Biamonte, joined by Kyle Bruderer. Kyle, it's the second ranked opponent in as many days for the Wolverines here in Orem, Utah, and it's their third in-state game of the week. How will these in-state games prepare UVU going forward?
Well, you know, this is the last match of the season before before conference play starts. So I think this is going to be huge for them. They're playing back-to-back ranked opponents, as you said. There's really no better way to prepare you going forward into conference play.
For the Wolverines, it's all about the seniors, who are led by senior setter Sierra Starley, who leads the team in assists and is second in blocks, but she's not the only senior having an impact.
You can't talk about key players without mentioning Madison Dennison, who leads the WAC and UVU in blocks and is going to enter this weekend ranked third in the nation in total blocks. And then you also have to talk about her fellow senior Lexi Thompson, who is leading the WAC in kills. In the all-WAC selection, she had all-tournament honors in the TCU fight in the Ford tournament last week, so she's had an amazing season so far.
You don't become the 14th ranked team in the country without a few players having all-American type seasons for BYU.
And for BYU, first off is Ronnie Jones-Perry, who is leading BYU and the WCC in kills and ranks 42nd nationally in kills per set. She was named the West Coast Conference Player of the Week earlier this season, leading BYU in wins over Missouri, Boise State, and Sacramento State. And then also alongside her is Cozy Burnett, the middle blocker out of San Diego, who leads BYU and the West Coast Conference in blocks on the season.
BYU is 5-0 all-time playing UVU here in Orem, Utah. What will the Wolverines need to do to reverse that trend if they want to upset the Cougars?
Well, you know, the first thing is they've got to get off to a strong start. Utah Valley has really struggled getting off to a strong start. They played against Utah the other day. They got off to a nice start in set number 1, but from then on, they had to play from behind. So that also, they've got to pass the ball well. Coach Atoa said after the Utah game, they've got to pass the ball better. And then the other huge thing is feeding off the crowd here at home. The Den has got to come in strong for the Wolverines in this in-state rival.
It's the BYU Cougars and the Utah Valley Wolverines in the Crosstown Clash presented by UCCU. We're going to get to this match after this break. Thanks for joining us here on UVU TV.
They say the devil is in the details. And in here, there are a lot of details. Flavor, color, texture, temperature, presentation. It all has to be flawless. Pressure? Maybe. But with engaged learning, I get a lot of practice. And I'll bet your homework never tasted this good.
There is so much to celebrate in life, from the smallest of hands to the victories of youth and precious occasions with family and friends.
You're watching UVU TV.
Welcome inside the Lockhart Arena. I'm Matthew Biamonte, joined by Kyle Bruderer. It's the Crosstown Clash, presented by UCCU. It is loud and it is fun here inside this arena. It's always a pleasure for the Wolverines to host a talented and ranked opponent such as BYU.
Absolutely, and then just being down the road, you get fans from both UVU and BYU. It is a rivalry, and it's so much fun to do this game because this arena gets packed in here and there's just so much energy, so I'm excited.
It's a rivalry that's favored BYU. They're 12-0 all time and they're 5-0 in this gym. But streaks are made to be broken, Kyle, and tonight could be the night that the Wolverines get their first win over the Brigham Young Cougars. Let's get to the starting lineup, starting with the visiting Cougars, led by head coach Heather Olmstead. Starting at middle blocker from San Diego, California, number 2, Cozy Burnett. Starting at setter, a junior from Longmont, Colorado, number 6, Lindy Haddock. Starting at libero, a junior from Heber, Utah, number 9, Sydney Martindale. Starting at outside hitter, a junior from West Jordan, Utah, number 12, Ronnie Jones-Perry. Keep an eye on her. She is spectacular, leads the WCC in kills. She is the force that leads the Cougars. Also starting at outside hitter, a junior from Riverton, Utah, number 13, Danelle Stetler. Also starting at number 18, a sophomore from Palm Springs, California, Mary Lake. And rounding out the starting lineup for the visiting Cougars, a middle blocker from Bountiful, Utah, number 24, Kennedy Redding. And for the home team of the Wolverines, led by Coach Otoa in his 19th year, starting at center, number 2, Sierra Starley. Starting at middle blocker, a transfer from the University of Utah, number 5, Megan Boudreau. At libero, a true freshman, number 6, Saren Merrill. At outside hitter, a sophomore from Fort Worth, Texas, number 11, Izzy Hinton. Also at outside hitter, a true freshman, number 16, Kristen Allred. Also starting, a senior from South Jordan, Utah, number 17, Lexi Thompson. And rounding out the starting lineups, a middle blocker from Pleasant Grove, Utah, number 18, Madison Dennison. And we are ready for volleyball here in Orem, Utah, with Merrill on the serve. They'll try number 13, Stetler, on the far side. And the opening point goes to the home team.
One of our keys to the game was that Utah Valley has got to get off to a strong start. That's what you like to see on the very first sequence of the match. Utah Valley getting a quick point out of it, see if they can build upon it.
Merrill again with the serve. They'll set it up for Perry, and she gets through the Wolverine block. Both teams, Kyle, played last night. The Wolverines, as you mentioned, did get off to a hot start against the University of Utah. They won the first set, but things kind of wilted away after that.
Yeah, they did. The University of Utah was without their best player in Anai, and the Utes really had to make some major adjustments, and those adjustments worked out really well in their favor after set number 1, and so they showed why they're a top-ranked team. UVU with a quick side out, and they go up 2-1. Utah Valley coming to play here in this first set.
It's the sophomore Izzy Hinton on the service line for the Wolverines. It's been an interesting week here in the state of Utah for volleyball. All these teams have kind of played each other. That's University of Utah, BYU, Weber State, and UVU. And last night, as you mentioned, it was the Utes getting a win over UVU, and Weber State played BYU, and BYU won that 3-0. Let's go to the replay here. As you see, they go across the net to Perry, and it's a side out for BYU.
Something that UVU really struggled with against Utah was their receiving on the back row. The dig just wasn't quite there, as Sierra Starley keeps the ball alive, and that's going to turn into a UVU point. So these two squads are just trading blows back and forth as we go in set number 1. But Utah Valley, their back row was really exploited in the last match yesterday against the Utes. So the reaction time's got to be a little bit better on the dig, or UVU might find themselves in some trouble again.
That was true freshman Kristen Allred on the kill, her 120th kill of the season. That's Maddie Wardle on the serve. She'll come in, dives for it, and Lexi Thompson dials in the back corner.
When you get a good pass to Lexi Thompson, she knows where to put the ball. There's a reason why she won all tournament honors against in that TCU tournament.
Here's the replay. You see Lexi Thompson coming in from the far side. She loves that back corner. And Wolverines lead by 2. The block lands out of bounds. Point to BYU.
You've also got to give credit to Sierra Starley for the pass, too. The pass was fantastic, and she just came off of a career high against Weber State with 61 assists in 4 sets.
Speaking of Weber State, both of these teams played Weber State earlier in the week. The Wildcats got the better of the Wolverines earlier in the week, and then BYU took care of business last night against the Wildcats. What stood out to you from BYU's performance last night against Weber State?
You know, I talked about this the other day on the WAC Digital Network, but BYU, their versatility, they have multiple players that can pass the ball really, really well. You know, they finished 30 assists from Aloy Robbins-Hardy, and then you have 7 assists from Lindy Haddock, and then you had 4 from Mary Lake as well. And so it's really interesting how it all works out. You know, it was a similar situation against the University of Utah where there were there were 3 players that had almost 10 or more assists. Obviously, there was one player with the lion's share. UVU putting some serious points on the board right now.
Lexi Thompson, once again. A hot start from the Wolverines. They lead by 4. They have never won against BYU in the series, and it's never been a 5-set match either. BYU's either won 3-0 or 3-1. And if the Wolverines are able to keep this hot start and ride it into a first-set victory, that would go a long way for the home team. Yeah, and just to break that down even more, Utah Valley has only won 3 sets against BYU in the history of this rivalry. So a first-set victory would be gigantic for UVU. Lexi Thompson with the handling error, and serving for BYU is the junior, Lindy Haddock. Right up the road from Timpview High School in Provo, Utah. Thompson almost goes into the stands, and that will be a service ace for the Cougars. Their 46th service ace of the year. They are a good serving team, Kyle. They average over 1 service ace a set, and they have 20 more service aces than their opponents on the year. Wow. Thompson with the awareness. Beautiful headsy play from Lexi Thompson, and what a career she's had for UVU. She was kind of buried behind a couple of great and talented outside hitters. Those players transferred, opening up a spot for Lexi Thompson, and she has really taken advantage of that opportunity over the last 2 seasons. Sub coming for Brigham Young. It'll be number 22, Sarah Hampson, a 6'7" freshman from Pleasant Grove, Utah. And there is the service error from McKenna Miller. McKenna Miller saw a lot of action last year as a true freshman for BYU. Lexi Thompson on the service line for the Wolverines. Thompson leads all players with 4 kills. She's hitting 800 so far in the early moments of this match. Nice dig there for BYU. It's Hampson on the outside. Thompson popped it up, but the Wolverines were unable to get under that one and turn it into anything.
You know, BYU starting to put together a run here as they find themselves down just 1 with possession, as Mary Lake is going to go back to serve.
Cozy Burnett has checked back into the game for BYU. BYU has not led yet in this first set. There's Izzy Hinton on the side. Nice play there from Cozy Burnett, but UVU still with it. And it's a big-time block from the 6'7" freshman.
You know, sometimes you get those blocks to go your way. A lot of times when the opponent hits it hard in the corner like that, you almost expect it to shoot off out of play, but impressive by BYU.
Boudreaux down the middle. She's seen her playing time increase over the last couple matches.
Quite a bit. She played a lot against the University of Utah, her former team, yesterday, and she had some really, really big plays against the Utes.
She had 6 kills, hit 231 with 4 blocks. And she starts again against BYU. Oh, beautiful play there from Ronnie Jones-Perry. Perry leading BYU in the WCC in kills, and you see why with such a savvy play there. Didn't try to fight through the block.
No, and she didn't even take a hard swing at it. She knew that there was a gaping hole in that front corner, and she exploited that. She's up to 3 kills on 3 of 5 hitting 400 so far.
Danelle Stetler on the serve for BYU. It's Izzy Hinton for the Wolverines, and a dig there from Mary Lake. It's Perry again. It's deflected by UVU and out of play. The point will go to BYU. That's their first lead here in the first set.
They managed to swing it back.
It was 7-3 a moment ago, and the Cougars are on a 8-3 run. Offensively, they're explosive. Serve from Stetler. Starley tracks it down, and Allred will have to push it over. Now the Cougars on the attack. Setter's dump, no surprise. Can BYU get there? No! And we're tied at 11.
Dennison did a great job of hitting the ball over. It was one of those, you know, up for grabs type of plays where either side could have gotten it, but Dennison, knowing that she had to do it quickly, she just punched the ball. And she didn't even have time to really, put her hand in an ideal position, but she did a great job of turning nothing into something.
Starley tracks it down. It's Allred. Ball still alive.
And it went on the opposing side of the antenna. So great effort by Utah Valley, but just not quite there.
Cougars lead by 1. Subbing into the first time in quite some while for the Wolverines is true freshman Brinley Ward out of Mountain View High School in Orem, Utah. She's only seen action in 2 sets prior to this one. Oh, big time block there from Sierra Starley, but it's still alive for the Cougars, and this time it's McKenna Miller. She won't be denied.
2-point lead now for the Cougars, and you were talking about Brinley Ward as a freshman, hasn't gotten a lot of time, but Utah Valley has struggled a little bit on that back row, and let's see with her quicker, smaller frame may have a little bit of a better reaction time to some of those wicked swings from BYU.
Down the middle, and it's touched by the Wolverines. It's a point to BYU, and they're in the midst of a big 11-4 run right now. It's Ronnie Jones-Perry serving for BYU. Merrill with the dig. Starley will track it down. And Lexi Thompson unable to get it over the net. It's 15-11. Cougars are hitting .412. Wolverines are hitting well as well. Wolverines are hitting high as well at .316. We're going to take a break here on UVU TV. We'll be back with the first set after this.
Your situation in life.
No matter your interest.
Whether your first choice or second chance.
There's a place for you.
Place for you. Place for you at UVU. Place to engage, to rise, to succeed.
To become.
I hate math. I can't count how many times I've heard people say that. And as a math teacher, I take it personally. So, while working on my master's at UVU, I developed ways to help kids not hate math. Does engaged learning make a difference? You do the math.
You're watching UVU TV.
The Lockhart Arena, the Cougars are on a big run here. The Wolverines led 7-3, but since that moment it's been all BYU. And feel free to tweet at us and be a part of the broadcast using the hashtag UVUVB. Let us know what you think of the match, and we'll try and read your tweets on the air. Serving is Jones-Perry for BYU, and it's Merrill with the dig. Allred on the far side. Nice dig there from Stetler of BYU. Beautiful play there from Ronnie Jones-Perry.
Ronnie Jones can take a hard swing, but she can also push the ball gently in such a way that Utah Valley's unable to return it.
Jones-Perry now with 5 kills, hitting .571. Starley tracks it down. They'll try Allred on that far side. Merrill keeps it alive, and Allred hits it again. Too far. Point to BYU.
A massive swing of momentum in favor of the Cougars. They lead now 17-11.
14-4 run for BYU, with Alexis Davies checking into the game for UVU. Thompson on the dig. Starley tries the setter's dump, but BYU is ready for it.
Great opportunity for UVU. It was a great pass, and they'll score off of it.
Third kill for Madison Dennison, the senior. Second on the team in kills with 149 on the year. So much of what UVU does offensively runs through her.
Absolutely, and it's going to continue to do so throughout the remainder of this year. Point again to the Cougars, 18-12.
What impresses you the most about Madison Dennison?
Her efficiency and her consistency. She's 3 of 4 hitting 750. I mean, she really doesn't ever get the vast majority of the attacks on offense, but when she is called upon, she almost always rises to the occasion. No pun intended, because the vertical is quite impressive on Madison Dennison as well.
And it's amazing that she's second on the team in kills when she's asked to anchor the defense. Third in the nation in total blocks, but is still able to be involved offensively to a high clip. And of all the players that have over 100 attempts attacking for UVU, she has the highest hitting percentage at nearly 300. It's Thompson on the far side. They'll go to Thompson again. Big rip and finish from Thompson.
Went from the far side to the near side and able to deliver a much needed point. Right around that 15 to 20 point mark is where, if you're down, you've got to go on a big run if you want a chance to claw your way back into it.
Starley on the serve.
And the big block by Boudreaux. I told you, she has some really impressive plays. We don't call her name out a lot, but it seems like anytime she touches the ball, something nice happens.
Starley to serve again for UVU. Diving dig there. Martindale tracks it down.
Oh!
And a big-time block from Boudreaux and Hinton.
You know, that started with the serve, Matt. Sierra Starley's so good. She's been doing it for such a long time. And then it ended up in a low-quality dig, a low-quality pass, and Izzy Hinton was ready and waiting for the block. So Hinton and Boudreaux with back-to-back blocks, and it's a 3-point lead.
It's not your usual combination on the block. You usually see Dennison and Starley in there, but we have seen some really impressive play from Boudreaux and Hinton in the first set of this match.
You know, Boudreaux is feeling, you know, I love seeing that. I love seeing that, you know, Boudreaux and Hinton can step up defensively as well, that you're not riding heavily on one or two players on, you know, at protecting the net like that. So it's great to see the versatility.
3 blocks for UVU, only 2 for BYU. Boudreaux with 1 kill, 2 blocks, and Hinton with 3 digs, a block, and 1 assist. For the Cougars, it's Jones Perry leading the way with 5 kills, hitting 500. Cozy Burnett right behind her with 3. BYU, though, can flip things in a hurry, as we saw.
Yes. After
a 7-3 start from UVU.
So one of the, I don't know if bad habits, because I don't know if it's a habit, but a trend for Utah Valley as of late is they find themselves playing from behind. And they do a pretty good job of making it competitive at the end of each set. But you really want to be playing from ahead instead of behind. So that's going to be a key for them moving forward as they go to conference play, is taking control of sets and maintaining control.
The block goes out of bounds. The point will go to BYU and a side out with McKenna Miller back to serve, and a sub coming for the Cougars. It's number 22, Sarah Hampson. Hampson's role has increased as of late for BYU. She's only seen action in 19 sets. Her sister was unbelievable, Kyle, an All-American for BYU. Jen Hampson, multi-sport star. Helped the BYU women's basketball team go to the Sweet 16 her senior year.
And then went to the national title for volleyball. Who did they lose against that year? I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember off the top of my head. One of the best volleyball athletes to ever play at BYU. So her little sister has her hands full, keeping the name, but more than capable. And quite frankly, for you locally, that Hampson family is celebrity status in the city of Pleasant Grove.
Absolutely. A lot of tall athletes have come out of Pleasant Grove, Utah.
Serving is Mary Lake. Starley tracks it down, and Davies will hit it over. Nice play there from Sydney Martindale to keep it alive. And it's Jones Perry who gets through the block.
Hinton and Boudreaux were there at the right time, but credit Perry for getting through the block. That's what really separates a player like Perry from the rest.
BYU leads by 5. They're hitting .393 as a team. That is well above their season average. They average .256. And what's impressed you from the BYU Cougars offensive side of things?
They look very composed. You don't see BYU scrambling to get possessions. Yeah, there's been a couple of mistakes here and there, but that's to be expected in any volleyball match. But I think that they're very calm and collected, which is another way to say what I just said. But I just wanted to re-emphasize it. They look like they are in control. They don't look scattered at all, and I think that's been the most impressive thing, is they've been able to bounce back. They side out really, really well, and they've been able to go on big runs. They find themselves up 5.
Lexi Thompson leads the way for the Wolverines here in the first set with 5 kills. As a team, they're hitting .233. Not bad, but it's hard to beat a ranked opponent when you're in the low 200s. And credit to BYU, they're #1 in the WCC in opposing hitting percentage. They do a great job of making it difficult to be efficient offensively.
And that's, you know, it's something that they're good at, and they've always been good at. It's kind of their trademark, the presence that they've had at the net like that. So it's really no surprise, Matt.
Starley down the middle to Boudreaux. Nice effort there from Martindale and Lake, but it's just not enough to get it over, and it's a side out for the Wolverines.
That was quite the windup from Boudreaux. She got a full head of steam right down the middle, turned it into something real nice, and UVU with possession. Merrill will serve.
Dig there from Perry. They'll try Hampson on the far side, but it's rejected by the Wolverines.
By none other than the third.
Let's go to the replay here.
Blocker in the country.
Check out the block from Davies, and that was all Dennison.
Dennison just said nope.
Service error for UVU and Merrill. Her 14th service error on the year. She also leads the Wolverine in serving aces as well, so she is someone they look to put pressure on the defense. Serving is Danelle Stetler, a junior. They'll try Davies on that far side, and Davies finds an opening.
Davies has been a little streaky for the Wolverines. You'll see her for long stretches, and she'll play really, really well. And then there's other times where the load is shifted over mainly to Lexi Thompson and Madison Dennison, but when Davies is playing well also, that's a great sign for the Wolverines.
Martindale setting it up for Perry, and it's Madison Dennison defensively. She's done it again. Her third block of the set, and the Wolverines have 5 total team blocks. They're hanging around.
They are hanging, just down 2, 23-21, and Madison Dennison doing what she does best. And I gotta say this, I love watching Dennison react after she gets a block. She'll throw her hands up almost like they're like these open palm bear claws. You'll have to watch it, but she gets really excited, and it really pumps up the rest of the team, and the momentum is starting to shift a little bit. UVU with potential to go on a bit of a run here.
And we've seen this from UVU all season long. They're 5-9 on the year. They had a couple of wins at their Wolverine Invitational a few weeks ago. They've struggled on the road and on neutral sites as well. They're 0-5 neutral, 3-2 away. And it's usually the middle of the set where they have some difficulties.
It is. Around that middle set, middle of the set is what I'm trying to say, is things start to slip away. And so I like that they've been able to try and claw back at this point right now. It would be gigantic for them to come away and take the lead here in the first set. You don't want to go down 0-1 starting out at home. It's really hard to come back from that.
Wolverines on a little 4-2 run. They started the set up 7-3 and then The Cougars used the 14-4 run to open things up, and the Wolverines are clawing their way back, but we'll have to see if they have enough to get over the hump. Hard to do that when Ronnie Jones-Perry gets a full head of steam like that and cranks one down the line.
Yeah, especially through arguably the best defensive duo for Utah Valley and Madison Dennison and Sierra Starley, as they both had their hands well above the net. But
Brindley
Perry
Ward
knew where to put it.
Back into the game for UVU. Dig there from Merrill. Starley unable to win the one-on-one battle with Cozy Burnett. The kill goes to the senior from San Diego, California, and it's the Cougars who take the first set 25-21. We'll take a break here on UVU TV, and we'll be back with the second set after this.
You only need to answer one question.
Will you accept the challenge to become?
No matter where you are in life.
No matter your interests.
From award-winning music
to acting.
To theater programs.
There's a place for you.
A place for you.
A place for you at UVU. A place to engage.
To rise.
To succeed.
To become.
On the field.
In the pool.
On the court.
We wear our game faces under the lights.
But sometimes our toughest opponents aren't wearing a uniform.
Instead, we confront them internally.
Mental illness affects 1 in 4 adults in the United States.
And suicide is the second leading cause of death among college students.
If you or someone you know is fighting a silent battle,
please speak up and ask for help.
You are not alone.
When I was hired as the new coach at UVU, I knew that if we were going to win games, we'd have to have fans in the seats. I'm not much of a marketing guy, but I have some friends that know a thing or two about it.
All right, Coach. This is all about face-to-face interaction. That was actually pretty good. If this whole basketball thing doesn't work out, you should give me a call.
If you're looking to earn money this summer, stop by the Vantage marketing booth on the concourse during our games, or visit choosevantage.com.
You're watching UVU TV.
The Cougars took the first set 25-21, and as a team, Kyle, they hit 323 with Jones-Perry leading the way with 8 kills.
You know, Utah Valley is right there. You're taking a look at the stat numbers. They're really not that far off. I mean, yeah, obviously they came away with the win in the first set. The side-out percentage, there's not a huge difference. You got 63% against 54%. I mean, it's a bit of a gap there, but when you take a look at it, almost everything is neck and neck when you take a look at these numbers. 20 receptions on both sides, 9 digs for BYU, 8 digs for UVU. UVU had 10 blocks in the first set compared to the 4 of BYU. It's just BYU was a little bit more efficient, and they committed a few less errors than Utah Valley. So just a couple little tweaks here and there, and Utah Valley can come away with a second set victory.
It really boils down to the middle of that set. I think UVU was better at the beginning and at the end, but it was the Cougars using that 14-4 run to really flip things in the middle of the first set, and that proved to be too big of a hole for UVU to claw their way out of in the first set. But encouraging sign if you're a Wolverine fan heading into the second set.
Yes, absolutely.
Back to serve will be number 18, Mary Lake. Lake with 3 digs here in the match. It's Davies, it's deflected, and the point goes to UVU. And Madison Dennison will check in immediately for the Wolverines.
Quick point for Utah Valley, just like set number 1, but you know, we talked about maintaining a lead, not just getting out to a nice start, but they've got to build upon that lead and stay ahead.
Serve from Merrill. They're going to try Stetler, and Stetler delivers for BYU. Merrill unable to handle it on the back row. Back row handling errors were an issue for Utah Valley last night against Utah. And Coach Otoa mentioned that in the post-game show, saying that they were unable to get into their offense. I'm sure that's been a point of emphasis today heading into this rivalry game.
Yeah, of course, it has to be. A great dig by Merrill. And this point's going to go to Utah Valley, and they're going to say it was a double hit. BYU a little baffled by the call, but Utah Valley will side out.
Nope, they're going to give the point to Utah Valley.
That's what I said.
Okay, sorry, I thought you said BYU there. My bad. Hinton to serve. Nice serve. Just grazes the net. And the Cougars, specifically Cozy Burnett, getting through the block with Brinley Ward checking in for UVU. Serving is Ronnie Jones-Perry. 8 kills on 13 attempts. Starley tries to get it over, but BYU is aware. Great dig there from Merrill. And it's Davies on the near side. Diving dig from Stetler.
Diving digs all around.
BYU with it. Lexi Thompson unable to handle the heat. And BYU takes the lead.
That was a fun rally. I hope we see a few more of those. Real hard swings, high arcing digs. Love it.
Jones-Perry to serve again. It's Merrill with the dig. It's Davies on the near side, and she delivers. Jones-Perry tried to get there, but was just a hair late.
Sometimes even if you get there on time, it's so difficult to return a full head of steam swing like that.
Maddie Wardle will check in. Wardle, the sophomore from Wilsonville, Oregon. Beautiful. Oh,
little
no,
outside.
Just missed. From my angle, it looked like she squeezed it in there, but it's going to go to UVU.
That's why you're a broadcaster, not an official, Matt.
I don't have the best view. I'm not right down the line, so
that's true.
That's not saying much. We'll leave the professionals to make the calls.
I think that's best.
BYU gets through the block, and we're tied at 4. Sub coming will be number 24 for Brigham Young, Kennedy Redding. Cozy Burnett leads BYU in the West Coast Conference in blocks. She's a defensive force.
Speaking of force, that Denison slide is hard to reckon with.
It's one of UVU's favorite plays to run offensively. I mean, it really doesn't matter what you do. If you get the ball to Denison, it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Haddock.
This one's over the pipe. And
for those of you watching at home and have never seen a match here in the Lockhart Arena, the ceilings are a little low, and it's fair game. And in that case, that's the first time we've ever seen the ball go over one of these pipes. They're probably about 5 feet in diameter, and it landed in the stands. UVU couldn't track it down, but it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, it's bizarre. So the rule is it can hit the ceiling, but it has to land on your own side. If it hits the ceiling and then crosses over, then it's going to be a point for the opposing team.
Serving will be Sierra Starley. Great dig there from Mary Lake. And that set up the beautiful offensive attack by the Cougars. Serving will be McKenna Miller. Miller with 4 kills, hitting .500. Listen to this, Kyle. The top 3 outside hitters for Brigham Young, all hitting above 400. Jones-Perry, 9 kills at 400. McKenna Miller, 5 kills at 556. And Cozy Burnett, 4 for 4. That's efficient.
It is, and efficient as well as Megan Boudreaux, who's 3 of 3 and just got her 3rd kill for the Wolverines, and they lead by 1.
Haddock tracks it down. Beautiful placement. That's the third time that they've went to Ronnie Jones-Perry, and she's just floated it over the defense into an open pocket on the front.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, there's only so much of that you can teach. It's really a mental thing when it comes to the awareness, and you find that gap there, and you use the hesitation to just put it right where it needs to be. And here we go with another side out. Utah Valley goes up 8-7. Right around here, it seemed, was where BYU started going on a bit of a run as they got towards the middle of the set. So let's see if Utah Valley can maintain composure.
Nice play there from Izzy Hinton. We mentioned this in the opener, but this is the third in-state game of the week for both teams, and it's the second night in a row that the Wolverines have hosted a ranked opponent. They played Utah last night. They're obviously playing BYU right now. Wow, what a play there from Davies, but Thompson couldn't pop it up. What do you think a week like this, a challenging week like this, can do for the Wolverines as they get ready for conference play next weekend?
Well, if they can have, whether or not Utah Valley wins against these top-ranked opponents, if they can steal a set here and there, and if they can, really look back at film and see what they did well and see what they can work upon, going into conference play in the WAC, I think it's going to be huge for them, because Utah Valley made it to the championship game, or championship match last season, losing to UTRGV. And UVU, they struggled in the first couple of months of play. Wow, what a huge block, by the way, by none other than Madison Dennison.
Dennison is having what we like to call a match.
That is the proper term, Matt.
4 kills, 4 blocks.
It's turning into a bit of a block party for Miss Dennison. UVU up 2.
Wolverines double the blocks than BYU right now, 6-3. Service error there from Izzy Hinton, and she will check out for Brindley Ward.
Izzy wanted to put a little bit of downspin on the ball, and just a little too much as the ball spun down, almost hitting the bottom of the net, so not even close. And BYU with a chance to tie.
It's Jones-Perry to serve. Both teams, high expectations for conference play coming up. Obviously, the Cougars picked to win the WCC.
Yep.
Wolverines not picked to win the WCC, but we got a sense in our preseason interviews with the Wolverine players that they were going to settle for nothing less than a conference championship this year.
Oh, absolutely. We talked about at the beginning, they're packed with seniors. You've got, that
seniors.
Front line, those are the 3 that stick out the most. So you've got Lexi Thompson, Madison Dennison, and Sierra Starley, and then you have a transfer in Brighton Taylor, and then you also have the foreigner out of, where's Martinovich from? I forget. Anyways, a lot of seniors. We're going to take a break here on UVU TV, and we'll be right back.
You only need to answer one question. Will you accept the challenge to become? No matter where you are in life, no matter your interests. From innovative exercise science, outdoor recreation to STEM programs, there's a place for you at Utah Valley University. A place to engage, to rise, to succeed, to become.
You're watching UVU TV.
Wolverines lead by 3 here in Orem, Utah. It's the Crosstown Clash presented by Utah Community Credit Union. And it's Maddie Wardle back to serve for the home team. Lake with the dig.
What a block again! Madison Dennison getting hands all over the place. Dennison is now up to 6 blocks.
Here's the replay. Dennison is having an absolutely fantastic performance here against the rival Cougars.
That one's going to go just a bit outside on the serve, so a untimely service error for Utah Valley, but they do have a 3-point cushion. See if they can maintain the lead.
4 service errors now for the Wolverines. No service aces here in the match. They'll try Lexi Thompson on the near side, and that is a nice block there from the junior setter for BYU, Lindy Haddock.
You know, Thompson was put in a position where the ball came up so high that it was a little risky to take a full swing at it, and so she tried to go for the push, but unfortunately there were no white jerseys around her to help on the defensive end.
That time, it's McKenna Miller in on the action. You'll see it here. It was a nice pass to Dennison, but it was a well-timed defensive play there by Kennedy Redding and McKenna Miller. Wardle dives for that dig. Starley will pop it up to Thompson, tracked down by the Cougars. They'll try that far side. Nice play there from Sierra Starley. She had a great performance against the Utes, specifically winning those one-on-one battles. There was 4 or 5 times where it was just her and the 6'4" middle blocker from Utah. She does a great job from that setter position, winning those one-on-ones.
You know, she's had a lot of experience. She's been here for 4 years, and she's done an amazing job. What a diving save by Lexi Thompson, and she'll get back and hit it over.
Maddie Wardle unable to get there for UVU, and it's a side out for BYU. Saren Merrill will check in for the Wolverines. Let's check the replay here. It's really just a nice hit there from McKenna Miller. There's a little sliver of light in that back corner, and they located it perfectly. Home team still on top by 1. Boudreaux over the top.
And they'll let it drop out of play. Point to UVU, and UVU goes back up by 2. Still very early. Izzy Hinton's going to check into the game for Utah Valley. And Sierra Starley back to serve.
Boudreaux with 5 kills with a perfect hitting percentage. She has been playing out of this world today.
Yeah, if she keeps this up, she's going to see a whole lot of floor time.
BYU keeps it alive. They'll try that far side. And it's Boudreaux. Boudreaux and Dennison. What a 1-2 punch.
You know, before the year started, I was able to talk to Lexi Thompson, who played on the same high school team as Boudreaux. They both played at Bingham High School, right?
Yep.
And Thompson was really, really excited that Boudreaux was going to be playing for the team this year, and I can see why. Point to UVU.
Danelle Stetler was the BYU Cougar that was unable to get that one over the net, and the Wolverines lead by 4. A sub coming. It'll be number 5, Emily Lewis, sophomore from Highland, Utah. Sierra Starley back to serve. She has 11 service aces on the year. Almost had another one there as 2 Cougars collided. Wardle with the dig. They'll try Thompson on that near side. And it goes out of play. Largest lead of the match for UVU. They led by 4 early in the first, and now they lead by 5. We mentioned it in the first set, but it bears repeating. BYU has had their way with UVU in this series.
Oh,
they're
absolutely.
12-0. And what's the stat you mentioned regarding the duration of the sets?
The Utah Valley, none of them have gone longer than 4 sets. And Utah Valley has won a grand total of 3 sets in 12
matches.
So it's nice to see Utah Valley competing hard and leading the way that they are right now. 18-13, a 5-point cushion is really nice, but we've seen Utah Valley slip away before. So if you're UVU, I mean, what's going on in the huddle right now? What are you saying? What are you saying to your teammates, the coaches? How do you maintain this lead and close out the set? You're in the prime position to win set number 2 here.
Well, right now they're hitting very efficiently at 455. And I think the message from Coach Atoa has to be stay in system, pass, pass, pass. We hear that every time we talk to Coach Atoa or the assistant coaches. Passing is everything. They got to stay in system. And right now, I mean, they have 23 assists. They're hitting .455. BYU's down at 125. So they're staying within themselves and hitting correctly.
And you look at BYU's hitting percentage, it's definitely taken a dip. They're hitting at 125 for this set. And Utah Valley, the block has been really, really impressive. They're up to 9 blocks so far.
6 of them coming from Madison Dennison. You had a chance to talk to Sierra Starley before the season started, and she mentioned that both of these teams kind of participated in something a little unusual for both programs, spring ball. And what did Sierra Starley say to you regarding that experience?
You know, she said she was really impressed with the way that they played against BYU in spring ball. I'm not sure what the actual result was, but as you see the replay here, a nice back set, but looks like the ball was deflected there, and possession is going to go to UVU. Sierra Starley back to serve, but, you know, I have to also mention, you know, Sierra Starley was also saying how impressed, and another big block. Utah Valley with their biggest lead of the day at 7, 20-13, and you can feel the energy here in the Lockhart Arena.
Lexi Thompson getting in on the action defensively. That's her second block, 5 digs along with 7 kills, which leads the Wolverines. Got to finish strong here. Off, ooh, the pipe, and it shoots down, and it's a side out for BYU.
Now, I'm going to finish my thought, though. When Sierra was telling me how impressed she was, this offseason was pretty special for Utah Valley. She said that collectively everyone was locked in during the summertime in the offseason. They spent a lot of time practicing together, and they seem way more in sync. And that ball is going to drop inside barely for the Cougars as they trim the lead to 5.
It's normally a play Saren Merrill likes to get involved in. Just one of those 50-50 plays where you just got to give credit to BYU.
And that one drops in as well. Saren gave up 2 of them, just barely. And, you know, she's young. She's a freshman. She's going to learn from that. But a quick swing there. It's only a 4-point deficit, and Coach Chateau is going to call timeout.
That is a quick 3-0 run by BYU. They're only hitting 107. We're going to take a break here. We'll be back with the remainder of the second set after this commercial.
On the field,
in the pool,
on the court.
We wear our game faces under the lights.
But sometimes our toughest opponents aren't wearing a uniform.
Instead, we confront them internally.
Mental illness affects 1 in 4 adults in the United States.
and suicide is the second leading cause of death among college students.
If you or someone you know is fighting a silent battle,
please speak up and ask for help.
You are not alone.
Get ready for the WAC Cross Country Championships, October 28th in Las Cruces, hosted by New Mexico State. Who will be the next WAC champion?
Break gives possession to the Wolverines, and it's Lexi Thompson serving.
Now BYU noticed that Saren Merrill was letting the ball drop, and BYU scored twice as they snuck it inside, thinking that Merrill was going to try and return it as it went long, but she did not give in. So I'm impressed with the composure. And UVU, with 2 quick points, they lead 22-16 in set number 2.
Big time out there from Coach Ochoa to regroup. And the Wolverines responded after the Cougars cut it to 4. Serving error there from Lexi Thompson gives possession back to BYU. They're not out of it yet.
No, definitely not.
Serving is Mary Lake. Lake with 6 digs. The dig will go on BYU's side of the court.
And again,
that was Emily Lewis finding a soft spot on that back line. They're doing a great job of ball placement here at the latter stages of the second set.
I think they've done a really good job of it the entire match.
Mary Lake with a diving attempt to keep it alive for BYU, but Jones-Perry swing and miss on the far side, and it's side out Wolverines. Here's the replay here. It was a nice idea. You missed the diving attempt from Mary Lake. She just missed on that outside edge.
She wanted to get a little bit of a deflection. The trajectory was definitely going out of bounds. As well, that was more of what that play wanted to be. So that was a great example. And a 4-point lead. It's definitely dangerous territory that the Wolverines are in right now.
Danelle Stetler will serve for BYU. Stetler with 2 kills, 7 digs, and a handling error on Lexi Thompson. Cuts the deficit to 3. Stetler to serve again. Dig from Davies. Down the middle to Dennison. Oh, Mary Lake with another diving attempt. But it goes into the stands, and now it is set point for Utah Valley.
It is set point, but the Cougars are making UVU battle for every single point.
Izzy Hinton will serve. There's the dig from Martindale. Kept alive by Merrill. UVU has an opportunity. Davies down the line, and Starley can't keep it alive. So there's a little life in Brigham Young.
Fresh life in the Cougars. Subs coming in.
That'll be number 14, McKenna Miller.
Also for Utah Valley, checking in is going to be number 4, Brinley Ward.
Serving is number 12, Ronnie Jones-Perry, leading the Cougars in kills. Dennison will keep it alive. Starley will try it this time, but Miller pops it up. They'll go back to Miller.
Great dig off the ceiling.
And Davies couldn't reposition, and it's 24-22. Still set point, but we're gonna have a timeout by UVU. We'll stay here with it. This has been a thrilling second set. Wolverines in control the whole way. BYU Cougars, uncharacteristic offensive hitting percentage here. They're low 100s at 118. What have they done, though, these last couple points to just hang around?
They've been able to side out really quickly. I think that's been a big difference. They've been able to side out. They haven't hit the ball particularly well, but they've been able to make plays when it really counts. And Utah Valley has committed a few errors that are unforced. So Utah Valley's got to shore up the handling errors. That back row on the dig. Lexi Thompson's had a couple of handling errors. And while, yes, it's not the end of the world, you can bounce back from things like that. You can't get comfortable doing that. You know, there really needs to be a really big sense of urgency. You don't want to be swept by the in-state rival here. You've got to take set number 2. They're 1 point away from taking the set. See if they can come out strong out of the timeout, just like the last timeout. Coach Toa really revved them up, and they were able to go on a 2-point run. Let's see if they can do it again.
Still serving is Ronnie Jones-Perry. She was the West Coast Conference Player of the Week earlier this year. Starley setting it up for Davies. Dig there from Lake, and BYU now has a chance to inch a little closer. Merrill with the dig. They're going to try Davies again. It's deflected!
That's it!
And the Wolverines take the second set. We're tied at 1, heading into the break.
While it is only 1 set, it is significant because that is only the 4th set that Utah Valley has ever won against BYU. So it could turn into something real special. I'm excited to see what happens after the break.
Wolverines hold on. They hit 355 there in the second set. BYU at 114. We're going to be joined by Coach Dan Coraton for a quick comment. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
What do you guys do effectively and differently there in the second set?
You know, we talk a lot, and recently we've talked a lot about staying in our box, controlling what we can control, and not letting outside factors dictate how we're going to play on the court. BYU is going to do their thing. They're a great team, but we can compete with them as long as we focus on what we need to focus on.
What would you like to see improved going into the third set?
You know, we played a pretty solid set.
Yeah, you did.
I think not allowing them to go on their runs.
Yes.
We were up a good number, and they would go on a couple runs, and we'd have to go on another run again. So I think being able to side out on that first attempt that we have to receive would be huge for us.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
That was Dan Coraton. Thanks for joining. Always great stuff there from the assistant coaches. We're going to take a break here on the halftime show, and we'll be back with the third set after this. We'll see you soon.
I've been involved in the running shoe study for about a year now, and when I first started, I didn't realize how big of a project this was going to be and how much time it was going to be, but I also didn't realize how much I would love it. I'm Amy Nelson. I'm a senior at UVU studying exercise science. I chose UVU because of the great programs that they have, especially exercise science. What really brought me to UVU was the challenge of taking the anatomy course, and why I wanted to come here is to challenge myself.
So we're seeing more movements in the frontal plane here.
I got involved in this research as part of my major. I took a class called biomechanics, which is part of the exercise science major. Tyler Sanford and Michael Bonney approached me about this idea they had of researching 3 different shoes, the Hoka's, the Standard, and a minimal running shoe. And they approached me saying, hey, this is a great idea, like we need help doing this research. Are you willing to do it? And I said, yeah, sure. And this project has turned out to be a lot more than what I expected. I've loved all of my teachers that I've had. They've always been so considerate. They're just always available, just always wanting to help the students. I have been engaged this whole time. Like, I would go into biomechanics class, we'll talk about it, and then I'd come straight to the lab and apply those same concepts that I learned in class. And so it's been cool to go into the classroom and then come here and apply it. The data that we've collected has been analyzed and presented in different conferences, and we have a lot of information from it. It's nice to know what's happening in those shoes and how it's affecting their runner's gait, if it's causing them to be injured more, if it's causing it to be more efficient. Like, it's just information to have. I've loved it. I was going to go into the medical field, and now I'm questioning it because I've loved this research. It's been such a great experience. I've really enjoyed learning it, and it's been really, really awesome.
I came to UVU kind of in a roundabout way. I attended a previous college in New Mexico, and then I was off from school for a year for different reasons. And I actually came in as a PR major and not a theater major, and then later transferred in my second semester here into the theater program. Best decision ever. The interactions that I've had with the professors at UVU so far has been incredible. They're very engaging. They get you involved. Like, if you want to work on a project, there's plenty of projects for you to work on. They want you to be involved and actually do things, which is great, because I learn by doing, and I like actually working and doing things instead of just being here and taking the classes and then, oh, I have no experience. So they want to get you involved. With Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat for Sundance, I was brought on initially to be the props artisan, so the person in charge of taking the designer and the director's decisions on certain props that need to be in the show and either purchasing them or creating them in some way. And then later I was actually brought on as a carpenter to work here in the shop to help build the scenery. The opportunities that are provided, especially through working with Sundance, because everyone knows the name Sundance because of the film festival, and the summer theater has a good reputation. Work with the professors in class and then work with them as they're designing these shows with bigger budgets, much more larger scale and more professional. It's really cool to take that experience and then take it outside of the classroom and work with that to be able to have more of a professional feel rather than a school feel to the production process and the design process. Being involved in this project at Sundance is going to be incredible. One, the name in general, it's a great resume builder, but really it's the experience that I'm going to get with working hands-on with a large project like this. Really going forward in a career, you need experience, so having this hands-on experience and being exposed to this and working with people who've worked in the industry for years is really going to help me in my future. Post-graduation, I want to work in the film industry, working with props, either just building them or being like the props master on film sets. I'd love to work on set in different locations, travel around with that. As I get older, work my way up to becoming a production designer to see the overall vision of a film. Seeing the success that we have, from my experiences, I wouldn't want to go anywhere else.
You're watching UVU TV.